Welcome back to another episode of Live here on Keystroke Medium. I am Josh Hayes here with Chuck Manley.
What up?
Scott's sitting in a dentist chair like this. You guys ever listen to like the classic Bill Cosby from back in the day, and he has the dentist routine where the dentist is like, "Oh, so where do you go fishing?" And the guy's like, and then the dentist is like, "Oh, I've been there many times myself." You're like, what? Welcome everybody in the live chat. Today, Brandon Ellis is on the show, and let me just say that it is a crime that Brandon has not been on the show already. And I thought he had been. I thought, he's been on the show several times, and it turns out that he's never been on the show. And as a matter of fact, I think the first time you were on the show was on Lauren and Kayleen's show on the Writer's Journey.
Exactly. Yeah.
You were doing a writing panel on something, and now I can't remember what the panel was for.
It was about, oh man, I don't remember either.
It's evading me. It'll come to me, or Lauren or Kayleen will yell at me in the chat and tell me what it was about.
Yeah, please do.
Brandon is the author of the new Star Guild series, and he has a box set out right now on Amazon that we're going to link in the chat. If you have not picked it up, check it out. It's 99 cents for 3 books. Is that right? Looks like a trilogy.
Yeah, it's trilogy.
And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And of course, he's written several other bestsellers. I mean, he's got a crap ton of books on Amazon, and they're. I mean, you've got. What's interesting is who do we have on there? We had Rhett Bruno. Was it Rhett? Who we had somebody on the show in the last couple of weeks who wrote in multiple genres, and
yeah, it was Rhett.
The number of different genres that you've written in is just amazing, and I want to talk a little bit about that today, but also your experience, if people don't know, living in Bali, which you had a YouTube channel or show that you did a couple episodes with, and that I thought that was very interesting. Watching the getting accustomed to life in Bali and the things that are different over there than over here. And
is it Bali or Bali?
It's Bali.
Bali.
The Australians call it Bali over here.
They call it what?
The Australians call it Bali, but we're calling it Bali. The Balinese call it Bali, so I call it Bali.
Yeah, you gotta get the pronunciation right. Otherwise,
go with the locals. That's it.
So let's see. Charlie Dunn was the first comment of the day, so he gets the KSM golf clap of appreciation. Sorry,
right, Charlie.
He's in Iowa today, on the road again. I wonder where Rick is. Rick usually has the first comment, and I'm very curious to where Rick is at today.
Rick Partlow?
Yes. It's usually him or Corey Gillum that jump in. And it doesn't matter whether I post 18 hours before the show or 18 minutes. I think like Rick just hovers with his mouse above the YouTube notification buttons, and as soon as Keystroke notifies, he clicks it and goes ahead.
Boom.
I hope everybody is having a great morning. Sorry for being a little late. It's spring break here in Wichita, and so I have both of the kids here, and it was a circus trying to get them ready to go to Grandma's house. My son needed a literal trash bag full of his dinosaurs before he could go. And I'm not talking about the little like this T-Rex is like this big, and it eats his other like small dinosaurs and then poops them out. Whatever. It's a very weird thing. So sorry about being late. We'll make it up to you. It's somehow in a back alley somewhere. Welcome, Kayleen and Lauren in the live chat. Bart of today is here. Everybody else that's hanging out with us, welcome. I hope you guys are having a great Monday morning. If you didn't know, which I'm not sure how you couldn't know, we have a live show. If you're listening on the audio feed, don't forget to come over to YouTube and hit the subscribe button, the little red button underneath this video right here, and then hit a like. If you're watching right now, hit the like button and then share it around. That helps us on our visibility. Also, if you drink coffee or tea, even though we don't have tea, if you drink coffee, Keystroke now has our own brand of coffee, Keystroke Coffee. We have Writer's Block, which is what I'm drinking right now, and as well as 5 other blends to suit your coffee taste. Walt Robiller does a great breakdown on his show Coffee and Concepts if you're curious on our coffee. Let's get into the updates. Chuck, you weren't late today, so you get to go first.
Okay. Well, I had a shit week.
Excellent.
I didn't get much writing done because of all the softball. We had family coming in to visit, and I just didn't have the time or the inclination in a couple of instances. But yeah, it just, one of those weeks where I had more life than writing time. So I got a little bit done on Jack Dark 2. Apologies, perpetually ongoing to Athon. And actually, while I was sitting, we lost my father-in-law a few months back, and he was a longtime member of the Eagles. It's a fraternal order of Eagles, kind of a club thing. I don't know if they've got him up in Wichita, but
I think so. I
yeah.
think we do.
But they had a memorial for him and all the other folks they lost this past year yesterday. And while I was sitting there, I was thinking about Rhett and Steve, and I remembered that Steve had done a superhero series with another guy, and that's a genre that, despite it being a crap seller, it's something, I just love the genre.
Oh yeah, Raptors with
Red Raptors, yeah. But I was sitting there on my phone making notes for a superhero trilogy that I got bounced around in my head. And I received a firm slap across the back of the head from my wife for doing so.
You've got enough. You're channeling your
Focus.
inner Scott Moon, and you're like,
we're at
a new series.
We're at a memorial for my father, you asshole. So yeah, but that was, that's what my week's been like.
Nice. It's always good when you have life that just tramples your ability to get any work done.
Yeah, and it doesn't look much better this week.
What about you, Brandon? What have you been up to, brother?
Well, I've been writing and I just finished a free reader magnet. So I'm starting another series in the thriller genre, kind of thriller sci-fi.
Nice.
Called X-Files meets Mission Impossible.
I love that.
But
Nice.
I always wonder if I'm just wasting my time writing these. I know I'm not, but sometimes I just feel like I'm wasting my time writing these free reader magnets. But it's to draw subscribers, especially in the new genre. And it's actually pretty cool. It's a good one. And then on the side, I'm editing another series. It's a time travel sci-fi. Me and William Van Winkle did it together, and he finished the first book, and I'm kind of going through editing it, and actually just finished and sent it off to him. And then finishing book 1 in a thriller series, which the reader magnet is for. So I've been pretty busy. And then yesterday was Nepi Day, which is the New Year's for Bali. And so their electricity is off. So you pretty much stay inside and I guess pray and meditate and hang out with family.
So wait, they purposely turn everyone's electricity off?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Can you imagine if they did that here on the 4th of July?
Oh my gosh.
Imagine.
Be the start of the Second Civil War.
So anyway,
a really cool concept, though, forcing everybody to kind of engage with.
So anything in the freezer is kind of toast now. So
how long do they leave it off? Just that one 24-hour stretch, or?
Yeah, it's a little bit longer. They do it. It's more like, I'd say 36-hour stretch, because they do it the day before at about. For us, they did it about 3 p.m. So probably a little bit more than 36 hours.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's what Bali's been kind of like in my writing life. And we just literally moved into this new villa. They're called villas here. And it's a 3-bedroom, 4-bathroom, own private pool, yard, kitchen, living room, dining room.
So you're roughing it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm pretty much roughing it here. And it's about $750 a month US dollars. So it's pretty good for the price, and especially for what these freaking tall ceilings and large bathrooms and stuff. So yeah, it's been great, but we just moved in, so I guess that was a little hectic. Other than that, I got my own office right here. It's pretty cool.
Well, I want to talk a lot about your Bali experience, because I think it's interesting. I don't even know if it would be kind of a shock to the system when you first got there, but just kind of learning the different culture of Bali and learning how that affects your life. Yeah. Like specifically getting your power turned off for a really long time. That's interesting. I have not had a bad week like Chuck. I've actually had a pretty good week. I started transcribing. I can't remember if I said that in my update last week, but I started doing transcription with my. I don't know where my recorder is now. It's plugged into my. Doing
transcription.
Right here. Hey, we've got matching ones.
Nice.
While I'm on the Peloton, and the first time I did it, I got almost 2,700 words in 45 minutes. And then the second time I did it, I got about 2,500 in about 40 minutes. Yesterday I did it, I only got about 1,300. Or that was the day before, actually. I was having. It's really good for when my thoughts start rolling. And actually, I was standing on the Peloton. You can adjust the resistance, and it's like any other bike, but it shows you all these metrics on the system. And for some reason, I like it better than other stationary bikes that I've used in the past. But I cranked the resistance up to like 70 and stood up and was just like power pedaling. And normally I only do that for like 5 minutes at a time. But I looked at the clock after I had done a whole bunch of transcription, realized I'd done it for like 15 minutes. So then when I stopped, I couldn't walk for like 20 minutes. I was like,
so do you have like a microphone that kills the noise from the machine, or how do you do
There's actually no noise at all. There's absolutely no noise.
There better not be for what those damn things cost.
Yeah, the only noise you get is an occasional creaking of the frame. Sometimes if you move slightly back and forth, it'll adjust itself, and you'll hear some creaking in the frame. But there's no noise. But I have a lapel mic that's a powered plug-in. It's a powered lapel mic with it's probably like a 12-foot cord. So there's a mirror that hangs right next to the bike. So I hang the wire off of that, put the little battery pack in my pocket, and then clip the lapel mic on. And then I hit record, and I move the recorder. I don't even look at it. It just sits off to the side.
Cool.
So I've been able to do a lot of work like that. I'm editing book 2 in Tranquility, and instead of doing it on the computer, I printed it all out. I bought a new printer, and it prints like 40 pages a minute. I was like, I want to test this thing out. I printed out the entire 100-word document, and I was like, look at all those pages. Hey, it's the small things. What do you want from me? And so I've been doing a lot of reading that way, and so that was fun. And I had a really, really cool thing happen to me last week, but I'm not quite sure if I can talk about it yet. And once I get the AOK for that,
I want to know. You guys, I know your secret projects.
Secret projects. It really, honestly, it was really cool, and I didn't expect it at all. And so I'm going to touch base with a couple people and see if I can talk about it next week. But that was really cool. So that made my week.
That's cool.
So it's good to be back in kind of the swing of things, and my floors aren't being ripped up and put in now, and so I can get some good work done. So let's see. Hey, Rick finally showed up. What's up, Rick?
What's up, Rick?
Hey, Brandon, how you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. How are you doing?
Jay Clifton Slater is there. Silent Wolf is in the chat. What's up? Nathan Peddle is here. Welcome. And he says, Brandon, how early did you have to get up to make this? And that's kind of a funny story.
I've been staying up late. It's a little past midnight. So
So I did not realize the time was that different, and Brandon also made a miscalculation.
Yeah, I thought I did a terrible job. I thought it was gonna be 7 p.m. for me, but no.
So when you realized that, and you were like, I've got to stay up till midnight, was there immediately a caffeine binge, or were you just like, whatever, it's cool?
No, you don't. I'm a little weirdo, so I do breathing technique, the Wim Hof method. It'll wake you up pretty quickly.
Really? What is it? I don't know that I've heard of that method before.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought it was pretty well known. Wim Hof, he's known as the Iceman. So he's climbed Mount Everest barefoot and with shorts. He lives in Poland, and he does this breathing technique he learned from the Buddhists in Tibet, I believe. And it's a continuous breathing technique. So you breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. So you like breathe in for 3 seconds, breathe out for 3 seconds, that kind of thing. But you do not pause. And you do that for about, 10 minutes a day. And what it does is you feel alive. You feel fantastic. You feel awake.
Yeah, hyperoxygenate.
Yeah, you're hyperoxygenating in your blood. And so you think better, you think more clearly. So people do this like sometimes 2-3 times a day, which I sometimes do. But I do it at least once a day and sometimes twice.
Yeah,
but
I used to do that to stay awake in classes in college.
Nice. But it warms you up too. You start sweating. So that's another kind of symptom from it.
I need to try to do that after lunch. Because after lunch was my whole.
Do you do the nose mouth thing?
I do the nose mouth. He teaches the mouth, but I do the nose mouth, which is another like category of something else. I don't know. I learned that.
Yeah. Silent One says I need to watch more Tim Ferriss. Apparently, I do.
Tim Ferriss.
Let's see. Rick says he's sneezing his ass off. Furniture getting out of the bedrooms. Oh, for the carpet. Yeah. I don't know. My wife hates carpet, and so we have a whole hardwood floor, and she got that way because we ripped out carpet in our old house, and it was so nasty. Just the amount of icky, like the pad was just.
Jamie and I would see eye to eye on that one.
Yeah.
So let's talk about some of your books, Brandon. You've written multiple books. You've had a lot of bestsellers, different genres. Right now, the Star Guild box set is 99 cents on Amazon right now. It's got 60 rating. What are we sitting at? 2,400. Really good in the Amazon store. So selling some decent amount of copies, and I'm sure that the Kindle page reads are very good for that. I'll put the link in the live chat for everybody that wants to check it out. You can check that link out. Tell us a little bit about it.
Oh boy. So I wrote it back in 2013. So here's how it started. So I wanted to write a sci-fi. I binge watched the Battlestar Galactica. So I wanted to do something like
such a good series.
Exactly. And then I met Starbuck because she actually is from my home. Well, she's near my hometown, and we met in my hometown, Portland, Oregon. And so it just got me thinking, the wheels turning. And before that, I was writing fantasy. But sci-fi was really kind of my love. I just didn't know really where to start with it. So I just went up and wrote it. And but before that, I was a sports therapist. So I wrote an entire trilogy based on a sports therapist in space. Not this one, but because I was a sports therapist and knew about the microbiome and all this stuff, I added all this interesting things about the human body. And I got back from the editor, and she said this was super boring. It's like you're giving me a manual of sports therapy. So I was like, okay, because I learned from the beginning. I learned, okay, we should write what we know. So I knew sports therapy. So that's what I did. And the other thing that I was really interested in and didn't know too much was archaeology. So I made the main character an archaeologist, and that's kind of when it took off, and it did pretty well. And I got it back from the editor, and she really liked it and all that stuff. So 2013, I finally published it. It did nothing. And in 2018, I decided to rewrite it. And I had multiple point of views in it. And I took out about 4 of those point of views because I had 8. So whittled it down to 4, and then it kind of made more sense, and it wasn't all over the place, and all that stuff. And I rewrote it and much better. Anyway, it's about. Have you ever heard of the Sumerian tablets? Anything like that? Yeah. So there's about 17 tablets in the thousands of Sumerian tablets that are written from supposedly like an Anunnaki alien named Enki. It's called the Book of Enki. And it's about pretty much I don't believe this, but the Anunnaki came to Earth and created humans to be slaves and mine gold for them. And they would take that gold back to their home planet, Nibiru. And throughout the 17 tablets, we find out kind of what happened to the Anunnaki and why they had to leave. And pretty much they had a war amongst themselves, and they kind of tailed out of there. And now we have humans and no Anunnaki on planet Earth. So I thought, okay, what would be kind of interesting if I wrote it in a sci-fi way, that kind of story, or if I did something else. And so I would happen to listen to this guy named David Paulides on the radio, and he was talking about national parks have thousands and thousands of people that go missing and never found. And so I thought, what if those were Anunnaki coming in for centuries and taking humans and then taking it to another planet to mine gold for them and yada, yada, yada. So it's kind of about that. It's about an archaeologist that believes she's decoded one of the Sumerian tablets, and the Anunnaki did not like that she was decoding them and took her. And what they've done with all the other humans is wiped her mind, and created false memories, false family, and she's now a mine worker on one of the colonies and one of the planets. And then she kind of slowly starts to get her memory back and see that humanity is really enslaved. And then she starts a rebellion, and boom, we have a whole trilogy out of it.
I really love when things from our actual past are used and twisted in a science fiction setting. I think that's really, really cool, especially when done well. Like you can, I had an idea to use Stonehenge as Stonehenge was a Stargate. Nice. And of course, that story never went anywhere. But I love finding those little things and twisting them kind of so they fit a cool narrative. Yeah.
And I've done that I've had 2 other books with 2 other series with archaeologists. And I've been using pyramids and the face on Mars, all this stuff that you kind of conspiracy, or it's kind of, ancient alien stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a blast. It's because there's so much you can.
Yeah, there's a lot out there, and the thriller genre has been doing that for years. I mean, somebody just made the comment that Josh is a Dan Brown fan.
Ooh, damn.
But I mean, there's so much. Especially you start digging. I mean, I think that I don't know if they call them archaeological thrillers, but I mean, there's Clive Cussler's Dirt Pit books.
Yeah.
They're all about things from history, and that's just there's a wealth of
it's
inspiration.
Cool. The I'm writing is an archaeology one, and I was studying. There's this place down in Costa Rica called Guiabo. It's Guiabo City. It's one of the oldest cities they found, and they believe it's 10,000 years old, and it still has a perfect filtration aqueduct system that they've created, and you can still it filters the water through. The way they made it is almost like plumbing with rocks, and the way they did it was phenomenal. But they also had foundations for homes, and they've only discovered 10% of it, but they've also found petroglyphs that kind of, some look alien, others are the usual jaguars and snakes and reptiles and stuff like that. But it's pretty interesting. So I totally twisted that and made it total.
It's so crazy for stuff back at the what are those stone images that are found in South America that like they stand over like 200 or 300 meters long, and there's really no way for like they didn't have airplanes, they didn't have hot air balloons, they couldn't go up in the sky and see what the thing looked like. And
are you talking about the Nazca lines?
Yeah, those things. Yeah,
they have. There's hundreds and hundreds of those all over the area.
It's crazy. Like, first of all, why would you do that?
They have hummingbirds, they have monkeys, they have even what looks like an alien face. They have, they have all that stuff. And I don't know why. I mean, why? And why is it that when you walk across, you can't tell what it is, but if you're up in a plane, you can easily tell what it is?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
how do they do that? Yeah,
the engineering, the level of engineering, like you're saying about the aqueducts and the foundations and stuff, but then you also look at like the Aztec temples that are built, and they could do a calendar that,
Mayans, yeah, they did the calendar.
Yeah. Or even like the what's that thing? Dan Brown, was it Dan Brown that used it? The magnetic lines. What's that thing called? The rosary line or whatever, where they're set up directly on the no, I can't remember what it is. They're aligned with like the magnetic lines of Earth.
You're talking about the ley lines?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did that. I didn't know he did that. That's kind of cool.
He used that in
was it Origin? No.
What's the one where he's in Paris at the Louvre?
That's that was
the Da Vinci Code. That was the Da Vinci Code.
That was Da Vinci Code.
Yeah, he used the ley lines in the Da Vinci Code.
I always get that one and Angels and Demons mixed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you mentioned thriller. It's interesting because in my writer group this week, we're talking about thrillers and subgenres and thrillers. I'm listening to the Gray Man novels, and I'm on book 3 called Ballistic. And it's interesting to me because the thriller genre seems to be a genre where the story is super straightforward. Well, at least what I'm reading now is there's not a lot of mystery in it. And in fact, in a lot of the books, you know exactly what it's not really a mystery, but exactly everything, what's happening in the book, why, all of that stuff. And the book is pretty much just the how. Like there's no mystery on who the bad guy is or why they're doing certain things. They actually have point of views from the bad guy explaining to the reader, this is why the bad guy is doing his thing. And it's an interesting concept for me because I write a lot of stories where the mystery is presented both to the reader but also to the characters as well. And so that is part of the what's pushing the reader forward is the unknown and the mystery and all that.
Yeah.
So with your thriller series, your sci-fi thriller series, is that kind of what you're going for? Or is that
I'm kind of doing so Julius Wolf and I are writing it. And he's kind of a master with thrillers. So what we're kind of doing is what we've kind of discovered, or what I've learned from him, is there's usually a twist at the end. So with ours, it's a sci-fi thriller, and it's not. I mean, it's present day, right. But it's got a sci-fi twist. So it's X-Files meets. We keep saying X-Files meets Mission Impossible.
I love that, man. That is so cool.
And so there is a twist. So there's a twist at the end. So that's what we're kind of doing. I don't know. Yeah, I don't. Otherwise, it is kind of like that. What you're saying with the thrillers, but we do got the twist. So.
Do you find it easier or more difficult to do that kind of straightforward book?
There's a ton of research. That's the most difficult part. Just is time consuming for me at least.
What do you do the research on?
For me, it's the Guayabo City. I have to learn about Costa Rica. I have to learn about, where else did I take them? Russia. All these places. Indonesia. I'm in Indonesia now, so it was easier that way. But I had to learn about Comanche airplane or Comanche the helicopters.
Right.
20 Gulfstream jet. I mean, just I had to, at least the way I'm doing, I'm trying to make it as accurate as possible.
Yeah.
Just kind of, it was pretty much chapter to chapter I was doing research. And
it's interesting because you would think it'd be a lot easier because you don't have to explain faster than light travel or blaster guns or whatever. You're like, yeah, you pick up his phone. It's just way easier. I know what a phone is.
By that same token, though, and if you're writing thrillers and the real world, and you describe a Gulfstream or a Comanche or something, and you get it wrong,
right?
People are going to be all over you because there's a lot of folks out there who know that stuff. But if you're describing something you made up, you got a lot more wiggle room.
It's like, yeah, they're like, that's not the way it is. I'm like, in my head, it is.
That's right.
You're wrong.
Don't tell me that. This is my book. But you can't do that if it's a real world thing.
That's what I found with sci-fi. I'd make just a lot of it up, and I'd do a little bit of research, but yeah, I was making a lot of it up.
I'm curious. We talk to a lot of collaborators on the show. We collaborate a lot, and I'm always interested in the process. But yeah, Chuck doesn't. Chuck's the outlier.
I won't inflict myself on anyone.
So how do you and Julius handle that? Like, what do you do for the planning and then the writing?
Julius and I go over the outline pretty extensively at first. We're outliners. And then I pretty much write the entire thing. And then he goes through, edits it. At least this is kind of how we do the first book. He hands it back to me. I fix the stuff. And then he's got free reign to do what he wants with it. He talks with me and asks, do you think this is right? Do you think we should do this? Do we think we should do that? And he rewrites some chapters, all that stuff, just to make it kind of make more sense. Plus, he's legitimately a better writer than I am. So he's also kind of teaching me the ropes with that stuff. So that's pretty much how we do it. And I'm also doing another one with William Van Winkle. I kind of wrote half of it at first, and then he took over the other bit and wrote the other half. And anyway, we did the outline together. We're doing the outline for book 2 together right now, and they're both phenomenal writers, and they're teaching me how to write. So because they have the writing backgrounds, I really don't. I came from a different, career.
Well, I think that I mean, you have written a good number of books, and what I like about collaboration is discovering things about the story that you wouldn't have necessarily thought about on your own, but that they're really cool. Like working with Richard or Devin now in Tranquility. He, what about we do this? And I would have never thought about that on my own. And
exactly.
I love that aspect of collaboration. I think sometimes the actual writing can be a little harder, especially when you have to work with another person on like the editing or the drafting. Because when you're doing it yourself, you can just write it, delete it, and that kind of thing. And sometimes it's a little harder to make sure that all of those things work together and line up correctly. But I love the idea sharing, the generation that happens in the collaborations.
Yeah, it's 2 heads are better than 1 for me.
Let's talk about Bali for a little bit. You originally went over there for a 5-month trip. I think you hit like a kind of a mark in your writing career where you were comfortable, and you said, let's go and experience Bali for everything that it is, and kind of do like a full-time author in Bali type deal.
Exactly.
And then it evolved into something completely different. So tell us a little bit about the initial thoughts about that and then where it's gone.
I was actually in I had just given a I think it's 2019. I was in Edinburgh, and I'd given a talk at the Edinburgh
20 books.
Yeah, and I woke up a couple of nights later, and by that time in my life, I'd been doing really well with writing and making good money and understanding marketing a little bit. And I woke up at 4 a.m. with the idea to go to Bali. I had no idea why. And so I looked up Airbnb at 4 a.m. on my phone, and I was like, oh my God, it's totally cheap here. I can go here. And these places are nice. And so so for about, I don't know, 3 months, maybe 4 months, we were back in the States, and we were living in actually Washington at the time. And I convinced my girlfriend, we have a child together, to my partner, we've been together for 11 years, to come over here. Her cousin actually lives over here.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And so he came into town for about 2 weeks and told us, you kind of explained what we need to know about Bali. And when we came here, our goal was to be here for 5 months. And then I was going to head back in June to see my older daughter. Now she's now 20, but at the time, 18-year-old daughter who was graduating from high school. And I was going to do that, but the airport shut down because of COVID. And we have been here ever since. It's been over a year now, and it's been absolutely beautiful here. I believe we got very lucky because we haven't been affected like the rest of the world here, knock on wood. We haven't been affected like the rest of the world here, and there's a lot that they're just different here. They're not that fearful of death. And so when it came out, when it happened, they told everybody, get outdoors, go to the beaches where it's healthy, get fresh air, all that stuff. They have this drink here called jamu, which is a turmeric drink that they believe is the healer of everything. So if they get some cold or anything like that here, they claim they drink this drink, and it's they believe it just makes them, it's a cure-all. That's
great inflammation fighter.
Yeah, it's a turmeric. This certain type of citrus and raw honey, and then mandarin, and a couple of other like spices. It doesn't taste very good.
That means it's good for you.
I was going to say, the best things usually don't.
It doesn't taste good at all. The first time I drank it, I was like, how do they drink this? It's like a mix of bitter as hell and some sweetness to it. So that's what they just kind of they have a different view on life than the Western world. Yeah. And so everything's open. Again, knock on wood. Anyway, I've been here ever since. It's been great.
Nathan Peddle says, important question. How exactly did you convince your girlfriend to go to ballet?
It was actually, for me, I don't know if she would agree with me. It was kind of hard because we had a very nice place.
Yeah.
It was kind of hard. I think I was just it's not like I run the house or anything. She runs it more than I do, but I don't know.
Typically, I think the case.
Yeah. It was just a lot of convincing. And it literally, I remember it was 2 months beforehand. I sat her down in front of the computer and I said, okay, we're going to book some places. And we just did. So yeah, that's how it did.
Lucas Connor says the award for the best knitted hat goes to. I think we all know who the winner is. Welcome, Lucas, to the show. Hey, my son Sean's in the chat. Hey, Sean.
Hey, Sean Hayes.
Hey, Sean Hayes.
How old's Sean Hayes?
Sean, he just turned 13, and he just turned. Now I have 2 teenagers and one that's driving, and so my stress level has skyrocketed in the last year.
So I have an older son. He's in the Marines, but when he first started driving, he was a nuts. He was like a race car driver. How's your
my daughter drives surprisingly well.
Nice.
I've taken her out and allowed her to drive my truck, which is very different from the cars that she used to drive. And we've driven through town a couple of times, and she was super nervous, but she did pretty well. parking was a complete. So we went to a store here in town that she was driving, and we stopped with. I had her park out in the middle of nowhere on this flat lot. We get out, and I say, "Okay, let's get out and look at the lines and make sure that we're good." So we get out, we look at the lines, we're good. I said, "All right, turn the truck off and let's go inside and shop." And we come back out, and she gets in the truck and tries to start it and can't start it. And I'm like, well, I know that the battery's not dead, and I'm looking around and trying to figure something out. I get in the driver's seat and I try to start it, and I can't start it. I'm like, what is going on? And I grab the shifter. I grab the shifter and push on the brake and try to pop it into neutral, and it just goes. I'm like, what? Ooh. And then I put it back into park and realized she had never put it in park. And somehow we were on such a level parking lot that somehow the truck just didn't roll anyway. And we were in the store for a good 30 minutes.
Wow.
And I was like, I cannot believe that my truck didn't roll across the parking lot and crash into other cars. And so now I tell her every time we drive, I make fun of her for not putting it in.
Of course, you have to do that.
At age like 16 or 17, I took out a Blockbuster rent, those things we drop, the drop boxes.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I was driving a garbage truck, and I reversed it, and I just boom. And like a 16-year-old or 17-year-old, I don't even check.
Right.
Like an idiot. And I walk into the Blockbuster, and they go, "You just destroyed our." And then I continued shopping, and I was very embarrassed, but I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, and I just continued shopping, didn't take any responsibility, drove away.
That's fair. That's such like a teenager thing to do.
That's not like
sorry,
no, but that was
not my problem. Not my mailbox. Not my problem.
Yeah.
So I'm curious on how, getting back to writing, how has being in Bali affected your writing? Because you were a really good seller before. You made a lot of good money, had a lot of best-selling series, and you wrote primarily as your full-time job. And of course, you're still doing that now. But it has affected your writing? Has it improved it, or?
In the beginning, it affected it. It was hard for me to get in the groove again. Because one, I got here and I just wanted a vacation.
I feel that.
And I got here and I got sick. So I got a bacterial infection and then had an amoeba infection.
Oh.
So I had that at the same time. And so I couldn't keep anything down for about 3 weeks. I lost a ton of weight. I was really skinny. But I got better, obviously. And then we moved. And then the place we moved to was absolutely disgusting. We had so in Bali they have the dogs here. The domestic dogs here are not domestic. They regular. They're called Bali dogs, all different kind of breeds, but they don't take care of their dogs. So there's thousands and thousands of dogs that just roam the streets. You're driving and there'll be dogs in the streets. You have to weave around. And so they just come into your homes. And the ones at this place, I was in a place called Ubud, Bali. It's a mountain town. And we didn't have, like this place here that we're at is surrounded by a wall. A lot of villas are surrounded by a wall, but the villa we're at in Ubud didn't have one. So dogs would just come in and piss right on the ground, right in the living room or right in the bed.
Wow.
Oh, man.
You guys don't have doors?
They kind of. There's just ways to get in.
Interesting.
And the rat piss, it was just disgusting there. And so for that month, I was having a hard time. Like I had my own desk and I'd be typing and suddenly gecko poop right on my face or right on here. And it's just not very, very easy.
Wow.
We didn't know that you needed a fan on you the whole time because mosquitoes will just eat you alive. All of that stuff you had to learn. So I'd say probably the third month I started getting into it, kind of actually when COVID started. And that wasn't so good on the bottom line. starting so late because usually I like to launch or release a book every couple months.
Yeah.
I didn't release a book for like 8 months. And so anyway, yeah, that's kind of how it went.
Lucas says the germaphobe in him is sweating nervously. That's awesome. And Nathan says, "Give me that weight loss program." I don't know that that's necessarily the weight loss program you want.
I need to lose some weight too, but I wouldn't recommend that one at all.
I gained that right back, and then I gained more than I was before, and then recently do. So I have this cool little. My writing now is very regimented. A lot of discipline. So I get up in the morning. I do my morning rituals of the vision board, of the say it out loud, the incantations. While I'm doing the incantations, I'm actually doing a calisthenics type of thing. I look like an idiot, and then I do
kind of like a self. What is it?
Yeah.
What is that word? Not motivation. Affirmation. Self-affirmation. That's what we're doing.
Yeah, affirmation, but incantations where you're actually moving because you're kind of getting your body into it too. It's like it's action with it. And then I do the Wim Hof method, and then I write. So I write till about 2 p.m. And 2 p.m. is when I don't eat until about 2 to 3 p.m. And then I stop eating around 7 p.m. So I've been able to gain a lot of muscle because I'm also working out. Doing that kind of, it's a certain type of workout routine that I've learned. And then just eating about 4 to 6 hours per day, and I'm losing weight, but I'm gaining muscle. It's really cool. So, I learned it from, there's an MMA fighter, mixed martial arts, I can never say his name, St. George or something like that. He was a champion for several years. And he only eats once a day.
Yeah,
and,
mad.
Yeah, and so I kind of researched him a lot and learned from Herschel Walker, also eats once a day, and Terry Crews, that actor, he's on the intermittent diet.
Terry Crews is a machine, man.
Yeah, so he's only eating 6 to 8 hours a day, and so I'm just learning all this stuff. So that's kind of my routine every day. And so at 2 p.m., I am done writing.
And do you do plotting? I know, like in your co-author stuff, you've got to plan a lot just so you guys are on the same page. But are you doing multiple projects by yourself, or do you have a different process for either or? Yeah, I have a different process for the one with William Van Winkle and one with Julius Wolf. Actually, is that what you're asking? Well, I'm curious about, like, do you plot everything out and then write it with your own stuff, or are you a pantser at all? Like, what is your process actually like? I would say I'm a pantser within the outline. So I will do a pretty extensive outline. Not as much as William Van Winkle. He's already at 30,000 words on the book 2 outline that we're doing, and that's half the book. And I usually do about 15 to 20K words on an outline. That's pretty much where I'm at too. Yeah, and I enjoy that. And then what the outline does for me, it always draws me back to where I need to be. And I do have pantser qualities. I do my pantsing during that outline, if that makes any sense. And I don't know if that's even. I do that. I pretty much do the same thing. Like, I'll hit the high points in the scene, or the scenes that I want to, or that I know are necessary for the story. Yeah. But like a lot of the other stuff that might not be completely pertinent to the plot, that stuff is all pantsed. I think most of us fall into that category. We're pantsers with a plan. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Yeah. Silent Wolf says, so outline to paragraphs for scenes. But I think he's asking how extensively do you plan the scene before you write it? Gosh. It's usually bullet points. So within each chapter, there's
So there's usually a question asked at the end of the chapter, answered, all that stuff. So I kind of do that. So it's kind of extensive, actually. Each scene is kind of extensive. So one of my co-authors is more extensive, but yeah, I'd say it's extensive.
I like the idea of having a plan to sit down and knowing what I need to write rather than sitting down and looking at a blank page going, I don't know what to write. I find that a lot easier to get the day started, especially like you're saying, where you have a very regimented time. Where
it's always easier when you've got a target to aim for,
Exactly.
Something to write towards.
Do you have a word count goal you try to hit every day, or is it just what
3K words every day or 2 chapters?
3K
or sometimes the 2 chapters is more or less.
Yeah. And what about your tools? Are you a Scrivener guy? Word? What do you use?
I learned from Jackson Dean Chase. If you know him, he's a USA Today best-selling author. He writes strictly in vellum, and I do that as well. Vellum. I freaking love it because side I narrow it down on one side, and for some reason it allows me to write faster. And the other side, I'm seeing this. You know how vellum? I don't know if you know vellum.
Yeah.
You know vellum.
With it, yeah.
On one side, it's showing you what's going to show up on the physical
book.
Right.
So it looks really beautiful.
Yeah.
It just, for me, I love that kind of the artistic stance to it. So that's
you're first for that.
Was that?
I think you're a KSM first. That's the first time anybody's answered like that, I think.
I agree. Yeah. I've used vellum before, and like sometimes when I'll send like beta copies of books, I'll pop them into vellum and format them for like Mobi if somebody needs a Mobi to beta read or whatever. But I would not have thought about writing in it until you said it. It's almost like writing in Scrivener because you can drag the chapter pieces around in vellum.
Yeah, you can do that.
They don't make it for us Windows.
Yeah, it's not at all like Scrivener. Scrivener is much more advanced than I am. So I'm good with.
Well, just the base, because I don't use everything that Scrivener allows you to use, but just the base skeleton of the program where you can write in a scene and then drag and drop it around. That's what I was meaning. Because I probably don't use half of Scrivener's intricate little things that you can turn on or turn off or compile in a certain way.
How could you? There's so much.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get any writing done. You spend all day tweaking the program.
Exactly.
I use maybe 5% of what's available. That's all I need.
Yeah.
So you mentioned earlier the time travel aspect, which I'm curious about because I feel like time travel is kind of a really hard story to write sometimes.
It's freaking hard.
Yeah, keeping track of like where your timelines are at, and even like how, if you're doing it in the past, how does it affect different things in the future?
Yes.
Talk a little bit about that. How does your process work?
Hell, I'm never going to do a time travel one again. It's hell.
Cured me of that.
It sucks because you'll actually finish the book. And you're like, I almost cussed again.
It's all right.
Like, crap.
Don't fucking do that, man.
I can't end it like that, or we can't finish that chapter like that because it doesn't make sense, and because this can happen and that can happen, and it's kind of all over the place because at some points nothing can happen, at some points everything can happen. So yeah, it's and we're having this problem with book 2 with the outline because we can't just. It's not easy. I don't know how to explain it. It's just not easy.
I've tried to do a short story time travel before, and I got about halfway through the planning process and my mind exploded, and I was like, I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah, you have the initial idea and it explodes in your mind and it's awesome, and then you literally, when we're outlining it, we're like, okay, this might work, and then when you're writing it, it gets harder and harder. This book we started back in October 2019, and it is 176,000 words, but it's taken us that long to finish it, and we just finished about 2 months ago.
Wow.
It's taken a long ass time.
I think I'm trying to think of any time travel books that I've written or read that I liked. Michael Crichton's Timeline was actually pretty well done. I thought. And then I think it's called The First 13 Lives of Harry August, I think. I can't remember if that was the exact title. Did you guys hear that big buzzing sound that just... Is somebody vacuuming somewhere?
No, sorry, let me mute it. That's my robot vacuum cleaner thing. Hang on.
It's Skynet taking over KSM. I was like, what is that? That's awesome. That 13 Lives of Harry August is very good. Although it's not really time travel, it's like a time loop where every time he dies. It's really good. It took me a little while to get into it because like every time it's not almost like Groundhog Day, but with his life. So every time he dies, he starts back at the beginning, basically when he's born.
That would be cool.
Yeah. And he retains all of the memories from his previous lives. Wow. And as he goes through his lives, he's able to predict and then counter things that happened in his life, in his previous life. And that obviously changes things going forward. And it's it probably took about a quarter of the way through the book to where I was like, okay, it feels natural now. And
Groundhog's Day, basically.
100%. Yeah. But it's his whole life he can relive, and that's crazy, I think that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote a time travel story once when I was in college, and it ended up reading like a episode of Mr. Peabody's Wayback Machine, and I never tried again. It was just too much.
Yeah, Nathan Peddle says there's a Tom Cruise movie. It's Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Oblivion.
I love Edge of Tomorrow.
Edge of Tomorrow. That was it. Yeah, Oblivion was the other one he did. That's right.
Yeah, Oblivion.
He had a string of really good sci-fi movies there for a while.
Yeah, he had a few that he nailed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you have coming out next? Your collab book?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have a Jackson Stone thriller is the series. I'm writing that one fast, and so I'm already written 2.5 books in that, and we're gonna do a rapid release when I start on book 4. So yeah, that's what I'm working on, and then we have something called Extinction. Me and William Van Winkle are doing Extinction's Edge, and we're just gonna do a trilogy. It's that time travel, and yeah, and then I just did 2 reader magnets.
And those reader magnets, I'm curious about that. We in my writers group, we've talked about email a lot, and I've been doing weekly video updates, kind of like a vlog, and that's my newsletter. I'll just send the link out. Yeah, I love it. It just takes a little bit of extra time learning how to do the editing on the video.
Do you have on that?
Oh, not very many at all. I have like 400, I think, because I let my newsletter sit for like 3 years and did nothing with it. And so now it's basically starting from scratch right now. And I find that a little bit more fun than just writing out like
this
is what I've done.
Is this just for a Facebook group, or is this actually a newsletter, like email?
Well, so I have I send basically what I do is I have my YouTube channel, and then when I upload the video, I make the video unlisted, or is it unlisted or private? One of the two. And then I send the link out in the email, and for the first week, you can only the people with the link can see the video, and then after that, I make it live. I make it public, and so for being a part of the newsletter, you get the week early update, and then obviously you can talk on the leave comments or email back or whatever.
Do you get a lot of comments?
On my first couple of videos, I got several, half dozen or so people jumping on and liking the format and really just interested. I think it's the creative. It's just another creative outlet, and I think it's fun. It's different. Matter of fact, I'm late on one. I didn't do one last week, so I need to do one this week because I didn't do it last week. But whatever.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
I'm going to link your Amazon author page in the group chat. But is there any other locations that you would like people to check you out at?
BrandonEllisWrites.com. That's one. And then I have my Facebook group is getting pretty active now. It's called Ellis Island, actually.
Nice.
Oh, that's a good one.
I like that.
I like that.
Islanders. Yeah.
I like this. Scott's moon. He's got the moon base. You've got Ellis Island. I need a freaking cool name like that. Mine's just a Josh Hayes fan club. I need something like catchy.
Haystack.
Haystack.
Hay bale. Hay. Just play off the hay. Hayes.
Hayes for horses.
Yeah, you could do that. Totally.
Well, Brandon, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. I like I said, I can't believe we haven't had you on before, and I love talking and chatting with you. So this was super fun.
Cool. Yeah. Thanks so much for having me on.
And
if I look a little high, it is about 1 a.m. or maybe 2 a.m.
No, that's completely my fault. We should next time we have
oxygenation. You just really.
Yeah. I didn't do a good enough job with that.
We'll have to work out a better time the next time you're on the show. So we're not.
This was great.
I think you're the second person that we've had on where you're actually in tomorrow, talking about time travel. Brandon Ellis is coming to us live from tomorrow. Everybody in the live chat, thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us and taking part in the live chat. If you're listening on the audio feed later, come and check us out. YouTube.com/Keystroke Medium. Take part in the live chat. It was good to see everybody. Lucas Connor, who I think is new. I don't know that I've recognized that name before on the show, so welcome and thanks for joining us today. Silent Wolf, Jay Clifton Slater, Lauren Moore, Rick Partlow. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us this morning. Oh, I didn't see Michael LaVoice was in the show this morning. Hello. Nathan Peddle, good morning, and I hope everybody has a great Monday. I don't know who we're going to have on next week, but regardless, you should come hang out with us. It's going to be a good time.
Because we're awesome.
If you haven't liked or subscribed, please do it. Because that helps the show, and it's free. You don't have to do anything. You just click that button. So thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next Monday to talk about some reading, some writing, and everything in between right here on Keystroke Medium. See you guys later.
Later, guys.